Lads, Shemai, how's it going? Do you ever just play a game and say, that might be the best thing ever created? Well, because that's what I did with Persona 5 Royal. So, today, I don't know, I just kind of want to gush for Persona 5 Royal and why it's like, my favorite game ever made, bar none. I don't know, call it a Persona passion project, if you will. I just kind of really want to do it. So, okay, I guess it's showtime. I don't think it's easy to answer Persona game's gameplay loop. I I'll try and do it in less time to download a Call of Duty, I guess. The reason Persona is so special is because it's rather unique. However many games lift inspirations from it, or games Persona lifts inspirations from, Persona has always been, and always will be, something rather unique. The combat being something that has been honed for 30 years of Shin Megami Tensei games, which even then somehow still feels unique to the Persona series alone, and even within that, Persona 5's combat is utterly different feeling-wise to Persona 4's, yet they follow the exact same formula. Mix that combat in with a pretty great dungeon crawl and all in with what I think is the real draw here, where it's essentially a life simulator. For people who are definitely not me, who failed to, get a social life in school and then started a YouTube channel, yeah, these games are perfect. Hold on, you're telling me I can plan days ahead instead of just staying in bed until 6 PM? Great! Wait, I can actually strategize and rank up my charm instead of looking like a fool in front of the girl I've been trying to chat for 2 months? Fantastic! I can have a friend group but also not feeling like I have massive imposter syndrome? Oh, this one sounds like a cry for help. It really is its own beast. It's hard to explain why it works so well too. It's not even limited to just Persona 5 either. The life sim elements have been perfect at the core from the get-go in Persona 3. I can really only describe it as cozy. You know the way people think Animal Crossing saved them during lockdown because it was just that cozy thing they came back to daily? Yeah, well that was me in Persona 5 Royal. Instead of picking weeds and telling friends about it, I was talking to fake people because I didn't have any real people to talk to about my fake things. Should really stop with the self-deprecation, shouldn't I? Something that Persona 5 does incredibly well is incorporating these life sim elements into the gameplay you do as a Phantom Thief 2. And I really feel that Persona 5 is the only game to do this to its full fruition in the Persona series. In P5, social links give you skills, perks, and without some of them, you can't even do basic things such as switch party members in battle or gain experience with party members that aren't in the battle. And while that honestly kind of does sound like shit on paper, the fundamental ones are unlocked within the first 1 or 2 social ranks, but by then, you'll know whether you want to carry on progressing that link, which will give you more experience in with backup party members or more tactics you can use in battle. It all feeds into each other really, really well, and honestly that's one of the hardest things to do in games, period. Making essentially what is side content intriguing enough for us players to want to do it, but then getting its hooks in early and making us want to complete said side content is something a lot of games struggle with. Even old Persona struggle with this. Persona 4 would give you an extra move or stat or something really small like that, and the social links in general were way smaller in scope and dialogue, meaning it had a way harder time roping you in. Frankly, a masterclass in game design, and I wish more JRPGs with social links did this better. Looking at you, Trails and Fire Emblem. In the Persona Fusion department of things, which if you don't know what that is, it's essentially we took 2 Pokemon, you'd catch them and mash them together, or cut their heads off in this case, and then wham, they've evolved into something completely different. I mean, I'd love to go into depth here about, this, and I'll be here all day if I did that, so just know it's very detailed and very, very cool, okay? Okay. Well, that was just base game. In Royal, they decided to somehow make it even more in-depth by adding Pokemon abilities to it, essentially. So now they have a lot of abilities, and unlike Pokemon, these abilities actually seem to be all positive and helpful in some way, which is just mwah. There's also now new ways of fusing Persona 2 with a new alarm system, which grants buffs or changes to personas, and there's also this thing about using incense to grant more strength to Persona in lockdown. Wish incense gave me more mental strength in lockdown. There's also a bunch of like smaller gameplay changes, some being as absolutely unintentionally important, like adding new moves and personas, all the way down to my favourite changes in the entire game, which are that guns now reload between battles instead of, well, not that, which in itself is a crime. Whenever you pick up an item that's better than what's equipped now, the relevant party member will ask you if you want to equip the new item immediately, and honestly, it's something I never knew I needed, but now every RPG should have this. Another massive change Royal makes is another small thing really, as how strict Morgana is at night with letting you go out. Now we've all seen the memes of Morgana telling us to go to sleep, but now they're actually dead memes because Morgana refuses to tell me to sleep now, and frankly, I kinda miss it, only because I need someone to keep my sleep schedule in check. But seriously, this really lets you get your stats up, confidence done, and enjoy the life simulator part of the game for a shockingly higher amount of time, and I can't thank them enough for changing this. Okay, slight rant incoming. Listen, people hate Persona 5 more than 1 through 4 a lot of the time because of the story and because it's adults bad boo-hoo society. But I'm gonna keep it real with you, that's the most sweeping generalization of the themes, not even the fucking story. If you think Persona 4's I withheld important information and evidence which could have been fucking had them I withheld important information and evidence which could have solved the murder case 40 hours ago was anything better than P5's, that's nostalgia or bias because you are crazy. Don't even mention Persona 5 food as a counter-argument, that's like nothing compared to the we have you on camera in 4K of Persona 4. Like, you can generalize any story to its core to say thing bad, hell, I do it all too often, but every Persona game has a story way deeper than its themes, or if they try to have one, which is more than some games at least. Got me carried away there, didn't I? I need to play Persona 4 again. Maybe it's not that bad of a twist. I don't know. We'll see. I don't really want to talk about the story itself too much because it's very good and I wouldn't want to rob that experience from anyone. It was actually robbed from me, funnily enough. But I do want to touch on the ending a little bit. One of my biggest issues with Persona 5 is its ending. Extremely light spoilers about the gameplay here, but essentially a boss rush with a weak boss at the end that doesn't feel personal at all. Not in the same way the rest of the game does, and it really drove me away from making base Persona 5 my favourite game ever. But then Royal comes around and adds an entire new arc, the end of the story, and adding a new ending, and that arc in general, all around has the best moments in the entire game, and escalates the entire conflict while bringing it all the way back down to grassroots, which on top of everything else really fixed every problem I had with the game. But the new ending and antagonist they've used here is one of my favourites in gaming, and the checkmate cutscene is easily my favourite cutscene in the medium. Okay, that's it, I can't go anymore, I'll start ranting forever about this, but just know it's amazing and it's just perfect and I love it so much. Yeah, right, I love more JRPG tropes. You know, like social links. Gee, what's that? A wild social link! When it comes to the cast of Persona 5, I'd be here all day trying to tell you how much I like some of them, so I went ahead and made a tier list for you. I think it's pretty cool, right? I thought so too. Here you can see how much I like some of them and how much of them are Mishima, because personally I'm not a huge fan of wherever the fuck that is. Oh, and for the record, because they're like in the same place, I guess I'll just tell you, yeah, they are ordered, which means yes, Makoto is best girl, and yes, I'm a huge fan of white bread. Why do you keep asking that? Back to social links. God, they're good. Granted, there are some weaker ones. I mean, I'm looking at you, Mishima, and Get Smoked, Gamer Kid, but for the most part, they're all really good and flesh out each of the supporting cast members. Some of the best ones even use the main story as jumping off points, with Ryujin Arns using the first arc as their jumping off point, and Yusuke trying to regain his love for art as what happened in the second arc. When it comes to my favourites though, I tend to like the simple stories the best. I love Arns, Hifumi's, and Makoto's in particular. It's just how kind of everyday issues they are. Even if they are blown up a little for drama's sake, I feel like it would be a problem me and my buds would have to solve ourselves while having a deep discussion at 3 AM. Which is to say that even the simple ones land well, which could be hard. A lot of time writers tend to have to write these simple stories just to fill out the roster. Might still be the case here, we'll never know. It sure doesn't seem that way. Arn's whole arc about someone being a bitch at her job is a conversation I've had so many times with people, but with the added layer of self-doubt Arn has, it makes for a compelling and simple story arc which lets her shine as a character, and that's repeated through the cast Makoto, Kasumi, Ryuji, all the same sorts of things, small issues with dramatized layers that make them very enjoyable to sit through and make you root for the characters in question. The more complicated and nuanced ones are very well written too, such as Akechi's new one for Royal, Maruki's, and Futaba's. Even ones I wasn't too interested in because of my taste, like Yoshida and Yusuke, were well written and give a great message throughout. I mean, Akechi's new social link in particular lifted from like a B tier character to probably my favourite in the game alongside Joker and Makoto. That's the case for all the new Royal links, honestly. They're all amazing and genuinely shows the jump in writing quality between the base game and Royal. It's safe to say that now, with the majority of the Persona creative team moved on to Project ReFantasy, we're in very safe hands narratively and writing-wise with the new folks who took over for Royal, and I hope they get a chance to direct a full game next time out. A lot of people really don't like the pacing in Persona games and a lot of JRPGs, honestly, but me, I think Persona's pacing in general across the entire franchise is incredible. Just when you don't want to do one aspect of the game, the other kicks in. Kind of a perfect cycle that you can pick and choose however you want, when you want, and the game knows that too much of one thing is bad, so they entice you with more of the other thing you're not doing when they know it's been too long. Aside from the things I've already told you, like, you know, the ending, the gameplay additions, and, you know, the latter half of that pretty much making base Persona 5 unplayable for me now, there's actually quite a bit more they added too. 3 new social links, and I touched on them a bit earlier in the social link segment, but all 3 of them are some of the best in the game. The addition of a catchy social link literally takes him from, ooh, hot detective like Yagami ripoff, baby, all the way up to, yo, Akechi, that's my motherfucking boy! Maruki, well, he's just the logical addition to the team because, you know, he's a counselor for some kids with some pretty messed up issues, so yeah, his is naturally pretty goddamn good too. As someone who's been to counseling, I can tell you right now that Maruki actually is a pretty goddamn good counselor too. So him just being, you know, that is an absolute plus to the game, and like I said, it's just a logical addition that makes absolute sense for this group of people. And Kasumi's, well, Kasumi's is great too, but hers is adjacent to the story of the 3rd semester, so I don't really want to talk about it too much, but let me just say it's actually probably my favourite of the Phantom Thieves, maybe alongside Makoto's, so there's that, I guess, if that means anything. Oh, I haven't actually mentioned this yet, but there's a whole new place that you can check out and use for activities too. And there's quite a few cool things, like the darts minigame, which might be my favourite in games. I don't know about that one, I might be biased, but it's good, I swear. But use the darts minigame to increase baton pass ranks, which is something that's new too, and that increases the damage and stuff of SP. It's a whole, again, I don't want to get too deep into the systems here, but it's pretty good. It's a really good addition. It makes baton passing somehow even more broken than it already was. There's also this billiards game too, which sucks there actually isn't a real mini game because pool absolutely fucking rocks. But it increases the efficiency of technical attacks, which is something new as well in Royal. Essentially, these are all just really cool things that are only in this game and extra systems to take care of in this what feels like a never-ending pit of systems to take care of. There's also a bunch of new shops, a food place, and a shrine here too. One of them is a shop where you can exchange those mucky clothes you get fighting demons or shadows in the metaverse for something a little better or different. Granted, I don't think I ever used this except for the, you know, get a few of these for a certain amount because I have brain spiders that like gacha mechanics, or as I like to call it, a borderline gambling addiction. And finally, there's the jazz club, as every good game should have. This place gives us a buff in the stat department and some confidant points. But most importantly, it gave us a goddamn fucking banger, baby! Ooh, speaking of bangers. Okay, I want to talk about the music and the UIs, remember I didn't really know where to put them and have anything to say that hasn't been said before, but holy fucking shit, are you kidding me? Lost Surprise is still good after 100 hours, Life Will Change is still great at the 8th Palace, and Beneath the Mask is genuinely one of the best backing tracks to a regular random ass thing in a game ever. There's a reason those 3 and Rivers in the Desert are so popular and transcend just Persona. They are incredible. But they went and made 3 of those songs irrelevant in Royal because they made better versions! Takeover shits on Last Surprise because you hear the best part in every battle. Throw Away Your Mask hits so much harder than Rivers in the Desert because the Royal ending means something instead of pew pew bad guy. And don't get me started on I Believe. It's a fucking sequel song to Last Surprise encompassing the whole ass journey you went on. There isn't the fuck wrong here! But yeah, the new songs are incredible. The songs in general are incredible. You know an OST is good when the title screen theme is good enough to be a backing song for an entire Game Awards prediction video. And that isn't even the new one, that's the base one. The Royal one's even better than the base one. Oh, and price? Price? That That song in itself is better than any dungeon music in most games. And Whims of Fate, When Mother Was There, yada yada, P5 soundtrack goated. It's the most run to the ground point ever, but come on. It's said that much because it's out of this goddamn metaverse. Oh yeah, shit, the UI. It's incredible how they made a UI out of this. It's kind of just all over the shop, old school rock and edgy themes, like the sort of shit you would see on a poster in the early 2000s, but somehow they made not just a user interface out of it, they make a goddamn good user interface out of it. I appreciate any UI that tries to be different, and Persona 4 was the first step towards this, like many of the things in Persona 5 actually. Its poppy aesthetic was neat, but then in Persona 5 they said, no, we don't want an aesthetic, we want a lifestyle, and ran with it. It's insanely cool. There isn't a shop menu better than any of the ones in Persona 5 or Persona 5 Royal. They're insane. Look at Jose's for God's sake. They seem to be continuing this into P5S too, with some of those menus from early footage looking out of this world, and I cannot wait. I haven't mentioned this anywhere, but the phone is genuinely a really cool thing I really like. The way they show the phone is probably my favourite part. No one cares about this, but the sakura flowers, the snowflakes and such they add to the background of messages on certain dates is real neat. And the line connecting each message actually flowing through the message to cohesively flow through the page is super neat to me, and probably me alone because I'm weird like that. Long story short, Persona 5 Royal is my favourite game ever made. Bar none. Zero touches it. No competition. Whoops, I guess? But yuck, another Persona 5 fan that got into it via Smash. Ugh. We hate those, don't we? But seriously, Persona 5 is already one of the best JRPGs of the generation on its own, but Royal, in my opinion, made it one of, if not the, best JRPG of all time. After the changes from the enhanced version, it's immaculate. The only hole I can poke in it is things regarding the 5th arc, and even then, while doing that bad story part, the rest of the game is still happening. So I find it hard to really care that that part is just kind of unneeded and unnecessary for maybe 3 to 5 hours, where any other 3 to 5 hour segment is better than most video games in their entirety. So yeah, Persona 5 Royal is, I think, a perfect video game, and it's absolutely worth all 100 hours of playing it. I'd go as far to say I wish it was 200 hours long, so we could have more of this absolute keynote to talk about for years to come. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Maybe I'll see you all in the not so distant future for another Persona 5 video. Haha, let's say I didn't call it a Persona passion project for no reason. I didn't plan a series out in front of the Persona series because I'm a little crazy. See ya.